Juvisha, Paditanam, Pavanavaya, Vaishnava, beyond the Mola Nama, Om Vishnu Baraya, Krishna Pistaya, Bhutale, Simate, Gogavinda Swami, Niti Namine. So, it's not really my forte speaking into a computer, but anyway, I'll do my best to present some information. So, what I want to do is give some background information on when Gurudev actually joined at Raman Reti. And I want to give a little bit of background information on Tattva Vichar publications, if that's okay with you, Prabhuji.
Yes, definitely, Prabhu. Yes.
So,
maybe I can introduce some words about you to the devotees who are joining. Yes, Nimai Pandit Prabhu is a senior most disciple of Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj Srila Gurudev, and he solely have taken charge of spreading Gurudev's message through books, all the Gurudev's literature, biography. He is publishing in the name of Tattva Vichar publication, and we have heard that Gurudev has uh, uh, asked him to publish his biography after his disappearance. So when he was requested, Gurudev gave him the permission to publish his biography, and he is dedicatedly uh, in this seva. And we are very fortunate, all of us, that we are able to hear today face to face with His Grace Nimai Pandit Prabhu, and we can ask question to him, and we will be blessed by his answers too.
well, so Gurudev, he didn't join a temple, right? He wandered India for 6 months, approximately. He left family life on the 1st of April, 1974. At the age of 44, it was Ram Navami, and he wandered India for 6 months until he entered the compound of the construction site of the Raman Reti Krishna Balaram temple, and it was a construction site. There was just Prabhupada's house, the slab for the temple with reinforced steel coming out, and a few huts. That was it. There was nothing there. So Guru Maharaj joined at a construction site. And and when he was there, when he joined, there was a devotee there named Gunanava Prabhu, who's still a current devotee, active devotee. And he said when Prabhupada met Guru Maharaj, it was as if they already knew each other. Immediate recognition. And this is very rare. And Guru Maharaj used to say many times that the Sadguru knows the Sadsisha and the Sadsisha knows the Sadguru. They know each other. So he said they'd met. And then he said he never saw Guru Maharaj eat. Gunana Prabhu said he never saw Guru Maharaj eat and never saw him sleep. So I don't know where he was sleeping and I don't know where he was eating, but he never saw him. And he said he was the first one at Mangaladi. And the Mangaladi means a hut with a little altar with the deities on the sand of Raman Reddy. There was no floor. And he said and when Guru Maharaj entered the compound, from that point on, he always saw Guru Maharaj with Prabhupada. They were always together. And he said, and I've got an interview to prove this. I did an interview with him in October 2008, I think, in Australia. And he said Prabhupada was treating Guru Maharaj, Srila Gaur Govinda Swami, differently to how he was treating everyone else. He said Prabhupada was very gracious with everyone. Prabhupada would come into the huts, sit on the bed and ask them, how are you? Do you need money? Is anyone sick? Do you need medicine? Like that. But he said the way he treated Guru Maharaj was totally different. And in the interview I did with Gunadeva Prabhu, he said 5 times your Guru Maharaj was special. It was special. We could see it was a special relationship between Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, and your Guru Maharaj. And immediately, within 30 minutes of meeting Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada had him translating his books from English into Hindi. And that's a fact. And Guru Maharaj was translating, and Guru Maharaj said that when Srila Prabhupada quoted a previous Acharya, whoever it might be, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, whoever, he said, Guru Maharaj said he would go and get that book and he would read 10 pages before that point and 10 pages after and make notes on it. And in 1994, he said to me that in the GBC meetings, all the GBC had computers. And Guru Maharaj said, I don't have a computer. And then he pointed to his books. He had 2 piles of books in tied up with gumshoes. And he said, that's my computer. And those notes began on the, 15th September, 1974. And he made notes till his very last days on this earth. So Guru Maharaj did not join a temple. He joined a construction site, and then Prabhupada sent him to the middle of nowhere in Orissa, right? On the outskirts of Bhubaneswar and Naipali, as you all know, that's where most probably many of you are, and to the ISKCON land that was, excuse me, totally barren. There's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. No running water, no electricity, no bathroom, no toilet, definitely no telephone, nowhere to cook, nowhere to sleep, nowhere, nothing. Just a pump in the middle of a paddock where you took bath bus. That was it. So it was very austere. And Srila Prabhupada, he said of Guru Maharaj, he said many things, and you can read all this in the life story, but I just thought I'd go over it. He said, Gaur Govinda Swami is devotee from his birth. He's not a new man. And then he said elsewhere, I think it's 7th January 1977, he was in a discussion with some disciples, Hari Sori, Gopal Krishna, Jagadish, a few others. And he said, yes, Krishna has sent him. Krishna sent Gaur Govinda Swami. And then in a letter to one disciple, he said, Gaur Govinda Swami is ideal Vaishnav. Now, if you go through the 1969 lectures of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, his understanding of an ideal Vaishnav, and I'm not trying to over-glorify Guru Maharaj here, but his A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's definition of ideal Vaishnav is Paramahamsa. And you can go through those lectures and find it. And in a letter on the 6th of January 1977, Prabhupada wrote to Guru Maharaj and said, you've got all blessings of Krishna. You were so nice, faithful servant of Krishna. Surely you will be successful. He said many other things. He said many other things. But going back to Gnanava Prabhu, he said, when Guru Maharaj entered the compound of the Raman Reddy land, they basically lost Prabhupada's association because he was continually associating with Guru Maharaj, or Guru Maharaj was continually associating with Prabhupada. They were always together. So, and of course, Bhubaneswar, even when Guru Maharaj built the hut was very antiquated. There was holes in it. There was ants. There was holes in the roof. The rain leaked through. Prabhupada went there and stayed for 17 days in the middle of nowhere. And I don't think Prabhupada stayed anywhere for 17 days. If you go through the different books written on Prabhupada's life, but 17 days in the middle of nowhere to install the Anantasesa deity, to build the temple, well, to dig the pit, do the yagya, etc., 2 or 3 days max. Prabhupada stayed 17 days, and many devotees that were there, Jai Dharma, Purush was there, David Dharma was there, there was others. And there were very secret meetings between Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and Srila Gauravinda Swami. And Guru Maharaj said, Prabhupada told him many things, but he said, I will not divulge it. It's recorded in my heart, but he said, I won't say it. So they had many secret meetings. No tape player was on, and no one was privy to those meetings except A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and His Divine Grace Gauravinda Swami. I have my own opinion on that, but I'm not going to give that opinion. So anyway, in 1977, Prabhupada goes there for 17 days. Now, just to show how dedicated Guru Maharaj was, in 1977, a devotee named, you may have read this, or you may have come across this, you may not have. His name is Abhinandan Das, and he was there for 6 months. And he said for 6 months, he guarantees Guru Maharaj never slept. And he said they would go out on Harinam every day, and they do kirtan, and there was Westerners and Orias and Guru Maharaj leading, and then and they would distribute books. And then at 9 o'clock at night, he said their ages were between 19 and 26. They were exhausted. They'd fall asleep on their straw mats in the dharamshalas, and Gurudev would get out his books at 9 o'clock at night and start translating Prabhupada's English Bhagavatam into Oriya. And he'd finish at 3 a.m. in the morning and then take bath, get ready. They'd do a morning program and they'd go back out on Harinam and distribute books, do kirtan all day. And that went on for 6 months. That's not a normal occurrence, right? That's not normal. Another thing that happened in 1977, 4 to 5 days before Prabhupada left the planet, Guru Maharaj said to me that he got there and Prabhupada was very weak. Prabhupada was lying in state, and Prabhupada was whispering in Guru Maharaj's ear. And Prabhupada said to Guru Maharaj, what's happening? What are you doing? Guru Maharaj said, I'm doing nothing, Prabhupada. I'm just sitting in Bhubaneswar doing my bhajan. I'm just sitting in Bhubaneswar doing my bhajan. And Prabhupada said to him, get me out of here. Take me to Bhubaneswar immediately. And Guru Maharaj made plans to do that, but Guru Maharaj was stopped, so that didn't happen. But anyway, Guru Maharaj was prepared to do it. Prabhupada wanted out, but it didn't happen. Anyway, so, and Guru Maharaj said, actually I was speaking to Lagudi Prabhu, and he said when they were in Bhubaneswar, Guru Maharaj wasn't there when Prabhupada left his body, Lagudi Prabhu wasn't there, they were in a room and they got a phone call that Prabhupada had left, and Guru Maharaj and Lagudi Prabhu said they cried for a long time, right? When the Guru leaves, one should cry, right? It's a suffering condition of life. There's nothing to be happy about the Guru leaving, and they were very upset. The whole day. And then Guru Maharaj went around and told all the other disciples that Prabhupada had initiated when he went in January, February, beginning of that year, that Prabhupada had left the planet, and then they had a ceremony and Guru Maharaj spoke. So, but Lagudi said very upset, it was very upsetting. So, Lagudi Prabhu, he was there for the 1979 event, Mayapur. We called it Mayapur 1979. The Guru Maharaj went into Samadhi, which we published a book about that. We printed 10,000 copies. We gave them away for free. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it. One devotee ripped it up, threw it on the ground, he jumped on it. So you get different reactions. So Lagudi was there in 1979 for the Guru Maharaj's Samadhi Leela. And Lagudi, every word he spoke was glorification of Guru Maharaj. When he came to Australia in beginning of 1981, the first thing he did was speak about Guru Maharaj. Everything he spoke was about Guru Maharaj. What Guru Maharaj said, what Guru Maharaj did, and that 1979 event, because that was very, it was very extreme. And Lagudi was there, he witnessed it for 3 or 4 months. And that sort of event, it leaves you stunned. And even though we printed a book about it, it still doesn't really convey the full message. So, so Prabhupada leaves, right? 1977, November. And Guru said that created, that was like the darkness started to creep in. Right? The darkness started to creep in. Because when the Guru leaves, the effulgent sun, as Gurudev said, the clouds start to cover it over, the dark clouds. So that left ISKCON in a transitional period, right? A very transitional period. And no one really knew what to do. So now I'm going to present some information. This is totally historical. You can appreciate it, you can like it, you can hate it, whatever, but it's a fact. When Prabhupada left, 11 men were chosen as acharyas, Westerners, to carry on from what Prabhupada was doing. Most of them fell down. I can only speak about the Australian zonal guru. He fell very badly, and many devotees left. I think we lost 60% of the devotees in Australia. Some left totally. A few became Ritviks. Some joined the Gaudiya Math, but most just left. A massive loss of faith. That's apostasy. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Kalyan Kalpataru, he says that the big Goswami comes, the big Goswami preaches, he makes many disciples, and then it's seen that that Goswami's fallen, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur says thousands leave. And that's what you had, a big disaster, a massive upheaval in the society. So Lagudi, he's preaching Guru Maharaj's glories, and he's preaching the 1979 event to anyone who would listen. And he's speaking for hours to people. And the Australian leaders were getting pretty upset with him. They were 101% against what he was saying. Anyway, personally, I was in Australia and we had a fallen guru. And we knew we needed a guru, but we needed someone in that topmost position. There was no more legislation, you should take this person. So there was myself, Dina Bandhu, and Jagat Padi Prabhu, and we were listening to Lagudi regularly. And finally, we decided to go to Bhubaneswar. And in the beginning of 1989, Jagat Padi Das, Dina Bandhu Das, and myself, we appeared in Bhubaneswar. And we met Gurudev. And I must say that was a life-changing event. That was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Meeting Gurudev, taking initiation and serving him. That was monumental. Monument. I must say I've never associated with anyone like that. I've never heard anyone speak like that. I've never spoken with anyone like that, served anyone, and I've definitely not heard any Harikatha like this in my life. His Harikatha was unparalleled. We'd come in from Australia. The Guru was fallen. The Siddhanta was at best minimal, right? At best minimal. And suddenly there's Guru Maharaj being carried, because he can't walk, by 3 or 4 devotees on a seat. They put him down and Guru Maharaj roars for 3 or 4 hours. And then they pick him up and they take him back to his room. It was just mind-boggling, right? And we met Gurudev. We sat in the room with him and he spoke to us. And I remember my first impression of Guru Maharaj was that he must come to Australia, because Australia was suffering. I mean, my God, the devotees were jumping off the boat like anything. It was definitely suffering. And the second thing was I wanted to publish his, as soon as I met him, I wanted to publish his life story, because I realized if anyone can read his life story, they're going to realize this is a great personality. But I was a new man, so I never said anything. I just listened to Guru Maharaj. We asked questions and we heard him speak every morning, every evening, every afternoon. And the one thing that got us, we sat in the hut with Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj was translating, as he always did, the Bhagavatam from English to Oriya, Prabhupada's books. And there was one lamp on, the curtains were drawn over the window, and the room was all dark. But Guru Maharaj, you could see this effulgence around his whole body. This is not normal. His whole body glowed. And we can understand this is a real sadhu. This is not someone, trying to fill the gap. This is the real deal. This is someone who's from that world. When I did interviews with many devotees, some devotees said to me, when he came to France and he started speaking, we could understand he was living it. He was just not repeating from a book. He was living it. So this effulgence enveloped the whole room. And when we got outside of the room and we started talking, all we could talk about is how effulgent this personality was. And I'll have to say, I saw it even, the effulgence in a different way in 1994, because I was Guru Maharaj's secretary, 92, 93, 94, 95. And there was a book written by a devotee named Jantakrit Das. It was called Sri Guru Tattva. It was a magazine. And it caused quite a stir, right? But I was there when he gave the first copy to Guru Maharaj. And there were beams of light coming off Guru Maharaj's body 2 or 3 feet, like neon signs. I mean, it was amazing. And when Jantakrit left, I said to Guru Maharaj, what do you think of this book, this magazine? He said, I think it's very good. I said, do you think anyone could defeat what's in it? He said, no one can defeat this magazine. It is the words of all our acharyas. Guru Maharaj was very happy, and he was glowing when Jantakrit gave him the first copy. So Guru Maharaj said, no one could, defeat this book. Guru Maharaj, as I said, after the first meeting, we could see his self-effulgence, very powerful sadhu, very powerful personality. And then he spoke. When we heard the first class, we were in a state of shock. And then we got that every day. It was every day and every night you were listening to Guru Maharaj. It rattled the very fiber of your existence. It took over your atoms, molecules, neutrons, protons, electrons, subatomic particles of your body, your mind, your intellect, everything. You just got hammered for 2, 3, 4 hours. I remember when I was Guru Maharaj's secretary one day, and I had to do the correspondence, so I went in after the class, and Guru Maharaj said to me, what time is it? I said, it's 11:45. He said, 11:45. He says, how long have I been speaking? I said, nearly 5 hours, Guru Maharaj. And he was shocked that he spoke that long. So one thing, when we first met him, we understood this, and this is what we understood. He saw right through us, right? And there was no, I'm high and mighty Guru and you're a little conditioned soul, which was the reality. We were nothing, right? We were like less than nothing. But he didn't treat us like that. But he saw right through us, and he knew us better than we knew ourselves. Right? It's a real state. It means he knew the heart, and he knew our past, present, and future, and he proved it. And he proved it to us. He knew our past, present, and future, and he proved that. There's a symptom of real sadhu. In the Bhagavatam, he said that Vyas was he knew everyone's past, present, and future. That's why he could write the Bhagavatam. It says it in the Bhagavatam. And Gurudev knew our past, present, and future. He said something in class that I'd never told anyone, and he said it. And I thought, how does he know that? So, and there was Guru Maharaj in the middle of nowhere, hidden in Orissa. And that's what, if you've got this volume, this is volume 3, part 1 of the life story. It's entitled Hidden in Orissa. Because that's what it was. Gurudev was hidden in Orissa. He was in the middle of nowhere. Prabhupada sent him so far away, it wasn't funny. There must have been a reason, but I don't know why. So Gurudev, as I said, his Harikatha was unparalleled, but he hammered this point about the Guru. He spoke a lot about the Guru. The Guru Tattva was one of the main things he spoke about. Of course, he spoke about Mahaprabhu a lot too, but he said, he was asked once, Gurudev was asked once, Gurudev, it is said when the Guru falls, it's Leela, right? It's Leela. And Gurudev said, yeah, Leela, stool eating Leela. Understand that, everyone? He said, yeah, it's stool eating Leela. And then they said, Gurudev, some of the gurus are saying, well, it's Kali Yuga, you don't have to follow all the principles, they'd say to their disciples. And Gurudev said, yeah, therefore I say Kali Yuga Guru, Kali Yuga disciples. And Gurudev said, why are you trying to deliver others if you have not delivered yourself? He was very heavy on this point. Then one disciple said, Gurudev, can I be a guru? And Guru said, yeah, sure. He said, but Gurudev thought about it for a while, and then he said, yeah, you can be guru, but first get yourself to that world, right? That means the transcendental realm beyond the material coming into the outer universe, the Brahma Jyoti into the Paravyom, into that Vaikuntha Galoka region. Get yourself there, then come back here and preach. Yeah, then you can be guru. Otherwise, no. And that's fully in line with what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written in his Gita Mala, songs 16, 18, and 19. Same thing. So then Gurudev was asked, why so many gurus fall? I'm just repeating what Gurudev said, and he was heavy on this point. And he said, because they've established a relationship with Maya, but they have not established a relationship with Krishna. That's the problem. That is the main problem. They have not established a relationship with Krishna. They've established a relationship with Maya. And then Gurudev preached many times, the Guru sent by Maya, Guru sent by Krishna. But these weren't Gurudev's words. These were the words of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And I can send you the quotes. And I've quoted it in the life story. It's in the life story. Guru sent by Maya, and Guru sent by Krishna. And Gurudev used to say, if you're not sincere, if you're not serious, Krishna will say to Maya, send him a guru. Right? And in, I think it's 11th of November, 1989, in Bhubaneswar, Parabrahma was there, Krishnananda was there, Krishna was there. Janeshwar was there, their wives were there. And he's made the point, Guru must have prema, because in Mahaprabhu's line, what's the goal? The goal was prema. That was Guru's main point. He hammered it home. Goal is prema. So he said, Guru must have prema, otherwise how will give it to you? So in 1989, after hearing from Lagudi Prabhu, we went to Bhubaneswar and we were in for the surprise of our life. We were totally taken. And you got to understand, it was a total construction site. There was construction equipment, bags of concrete. There was things everywhere. And there was chipping away at the concrete. There was workers everywhere, everything. And in the middle of that, Gurudev was preaching the deepest, most lucid, effulgent Siddhanta I'd ever heard in my life. I'd never heard anything like it. And I'll tell you a story. When we went that year, we went to Puri, myself, Dina Bandhu, and Jagapati. And there's a temple there that many devotees take Prashadam. It's a Gaudiya Math temple, Sri Purushottam Gaudiya Math. Anyway, in the 80s, we used to go there and take Prashad. And you pay 50 rupees and they give you a big plate of Prashad. So I met one of the brahmacharis, and he'd been in the movement. He'd been there as long as I'd been in ISKCON. He'd been in the Gaudiya Math. And I was speaking to him, and he knew so much Siddhanta. And I was thinking, I just don't know this. Then when I went to Bhubaneswar, and met all the brahmacharis and the devotees that had been listening to Gurudev for decades, they knew the same Siddhanta. They knew all that Siddhanta. So I'd come from Australia, or we'd come from Australia, and we didn't know that. We didn't know. So we were in like a black hole in space when it came to the Siddhanta. And slowly, right, Gurudev opened hundreds upon hundreds and thousands of doors of the Siddhanta. And what he spoke was, as I said, amazing, but it was unlimited information. And he lived every second of it. So, Prabhupada glorified Guru Maharaj, and devotees were saying in 1977, after those private meetings with Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj came out of the room of the hut and Guru Maharaj was glowing. So they felt that he must be getting something that we're not getting, they were thinking. I mean, he walks, he's been with Prabhupada, he's just glowing. His whole body's glowing. Guru Maharaj is a very effulgent personality. So now, excuse me, I got a bit of a sore throat. So as I said, the greatest moment of my life was meeting Gurudev, taking initiation and serving him, and I became his secretary. And that was, I mean, if you did the wrong thing, Gurudev would hit you over the head, right? And when he hit you over the head, it was like totally cleared your mind. There was nothing there, you know, like it. There was no more dust on the mirror. The mirror was clear. There was nothing in the mind. There was nothing. It was very interesting. So I became Gurudev's secretary, and he called me into his room and he said, Nimai, I want you to become my personal secretary. And I said to Gurudev, I don't think I can do it, Gurudev. And he said, why not? He looked a bit surprised. I said, well, I don't feel fit. I don't feel, you know, qualified to do it. And he said, anyway, if Guru wants, you must do it. I said, okay, I'll do it. So he handed me one letter and he said, just answer this for me and we'll send it to the devotees. So what I did was I answered the letter and I signed it with my name. I signed it to the devotees, your lowly servant, Nimai Pandit, Das Secretary, Srila Govinda Swami, blah, 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 etc. And I sent it off. And then some weeks later, Guru said, did we answer that letter? I said, we did, Gurudev. He said, I didn't see it. I said, did you want me to answer it or did you want to answer it? He said, well, I wanted to sign it. I thought, oh, right. I said, I thought you wanted me to write it, sign it and send it on. So I got the letter and he read it. He said, yeah, that's very good what you've written. And he added, and he sent another letter saying, further to what my disciple has written. He added it on, then he signed it and we sent it off. Now, anyone else would have yelled at me for at least half an hour. And Gurudev was just very cool about it. He said, no problems. Further to what my disciple has written. And he wrote a few more lines and we sent that off and the problem was solved. No yelling, no screaming, no anything. Guru Maharaj was very cool, calm and collected. He didn't think he was high and mighty. That was the thing. It wasn't, I'm the big guru and you're the little disciple. There was none of that. So anyway, so after our first visit there, I'm thinking, well, you know, he has to come to Australia. And we tried our hardest to get him there, and finally he came. And that's a whole another discussion, but it took Australia by surprise because we didn't know Siddhanta in Australia. There was no Siddhanta. No offense, there was no Siddhanta. There was classes every day. What they were preaching, I don't know. Right? In point of actual fact, the classes were mainly about collecting money. That's what the classes were about. So when we got to Bhubaneswar, this was like, you know, we were in a state of shock. This Siddhanta opened up. And for instance, in 1989, Gurudev said to us, Mahaprabhu did Chari Leela. Well, that shocked me because I never heard that. Now we know it. It's common knowledge. But in 1989, we didn't know that. And he explained how Mahaprabhu did Chari Leela. And if you read the Chaitanya Bhagavatam, the first, the Adi Khan, chapter 1, first verse, in the commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says that Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Thakur, they didn't come as cowherd boys dancing with cowherd girls. They came as Jagat Guru Acharyas to deliver the fallen conditioned souls of Kali Yuga. That was one of the first things Gurudev said to us. But we'd never heard that. We didn't know that. Now we know it. But then we didn't. So that was like, wow, where did that come from? And he would pick a verse out of the Siddhanta and bring it to life. He would bring it to life. So in 1991, because my point of view was, and I've got to say this, and some people may not like to hear it, but after the first visit of Gurudev to Australia in 1990, the Australian leaders banned him for 1 year. So he went 1990, 91, he was banned. 92, they let him go back. So that means there was a 2-year gap. Because what happened was, when a real sadhu speaks, people want to follow him, not just take initiation. People were just following him. Temples were emptying out and following Guru Maharaj all over Australia. People were leaving temples. So it caused a bit of a problem, but what can you do? Sadhu affects the heart. Right? Satam Pasangam, Mamaviya Sambido, Bhavanti Ritkana Rasayana Kata. It affects the heart. It doesn't affect the ear or the brain. No, it comes in through the ear and enters the heart. That's what the sadhu does. And that's what Gurudev did. Anyway, immediate. It was immediate. For many people, it was immediate. So they banned Gurudev for 1 year and they banned 4 of his followers, Dinabandhu Das, Indrabhadra Das, Govindacharya Das, who was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and me. So we all got banned from Australia for 5 years. And so we all went to Bhubaneswar, and Guru Maharaj was happy. He said, well, yeah, they may be banned from Australia, but I've got 4 good men now in Bhubaneswar. So anyway, after that, in 1991, around the time of Rath Yatra, the Acharya from Sri Rangam came to visit Guru Maharaj. And this was on the recommendation of his disciple, Badri Narayan Das, who you may know, you may not know, but he's in South India. You can go and visit him. Badri Narayan Das, Badri Narayan Ramanuja Das, he met Gurudev and he felt this is a Mahabhagavat. He has the symptoms of a Mahabhagavat. He said to me personally, he said, before I saw him sitting on the porch chanting on his beads, I saw this effulgence, and then I saw the sadhu, and I went up and met him. He said, I went up and approached him, and I met him. And I went down to Sri Rangam in 1980. I think it was, I forget, end of 83. Yeah, end of 83 with my wife and daughter. And we met the Acharya, and him and his disciple verified everything that they'd seen and said about Gurudev. So the disciple is an astrologer, mystic, psychic, can read your face, your palms, your hand, knows the Samudrika. Samudrika is a science whereby which you can see the 32 symptoms of a Mahabhagavat. That's science. If you know it, you can see, oh, this person is a Mahabhagavat. And many of these ancient Vedic sciences are becoming marginalized because people aren't interested. We're interested in sending rockets to the moon and all that sort of thing. Or wherever we send rockets, Mars or whatever. So this Bhadri Narayan Ramanuja, he could see this is a Mahabhagavat. So he went down and spoke to his guru in Srirangam, the Acharya, and he said, from what I understand, in Bhubaneswar, there's a Mahabhagavat. I want you to go up and verify it. So the Acharya was well versed in all these shastras. So he came up on the train. It's like, takes 2 days. It took 2 days. It's a long time. That train is, I've been on that train. It's horrible. Indian trains are horrible. I don't know, maybe they're better now, but in 1991, they weren't fantastic. Anyway, he came up and there was many devotees there. Jagadish was there, Parabrahma was there, Gokul Das Das was there. There's many devotees, many disciples. Dina Bandhu was there. And this Acharya, he came and he looked through the flywire door of Guru Maharaj's hut, and he paid full dandavats on the concrete. Then he got up and knocked and went inside and spoke to Guru Maharaj for about 15 minutes. Then he came out. I mean, this is the Acharya of another total different Sampradaya. He's not Gaudiya, he's Sri Sampradaya. And he came out and he said, your Guru Maharaj is definitely a self-effulgent personality. He has all the symptoms of a Mahabhagavat, which was described in all the books we published. He said the birthmarks on his body represent the different avatars, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, etc. Right? And he said his Shakti Vaishya avatars come with a mission. Right? Gauravinda Swami's come with a mission. And he paid full dandavats to Gurudev. I mean, and he stayed for 3 weeks. He stayed for 3 weeks. And Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, he was the temple president, he gave him a room. And the Acharya, and Jagat Padi was the guest house manager, I think, at that time. And at one time when he came, and he said that many people were coming to see the Acharya, many from outside. Anyway, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu gave him a room. And the Acharya from Sri Rangam, he said the sheets, the bedding, they're white. And Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu apologized, said, yeah, they're new, but we haven't dyed them or anything. He said, and the Acharya from Sri Rangam says, a sannyasi has 3 things that are white: his teeth, his Brahman thread, and his heart, meaning the heart is pure. He says, other than that, it has to be saffron. Anyway, there was a little bit of trivia there, but that's what he said. But he was very impressed with Gurudev. And Gurudev wanted from him, Gurudev was going to go down to Sri Rangam, and he wanted all the information that Ramanujacharya had written about the sannyas ashram, so he could put it together in a book and hand it to his godbrothers, because many, and still till today, are falling down from the sannyas ashram. And Guru Maharaj wanted to do something about it. And that's discussed in volume 3, part 2, that we've published as well. So, and the Acharya from Sri Rangam, he came up to see Guru Maharaj numerous times. Every time he came north, he dropped in to see Guru Maharaj. He could understand, this is a Mahabhagavat, this is a rare personality. This is 1 in a billion, 1 in 2 billion. This is very rare. And Pandit Narayan's down in South India. Go and talk to him, he'll tell you. Right? So, Prabhuji, have I spoken long enough, or I stop, or keep going, or what do you want me to do? Hello?
Please keep going on, Prabhu. We are
Prabhuji,
listening.
at least, Prabhuji, if I request, you can speak till 4 o'clock, and after that we may open for question answers. Is it okay, Prabhuji, like this?
Say that again, I can what?
I'm saying you can speak till 4 o'clock, and after that we will have some 15-20 minutes question answers. Is it okay?
Okay,
Another
so
15
I'll
minutes.
speak till 4 o'clock.
Yeah, after
Another
that we'll have some
15
question answers.
Okay, so this Bhadri Narayan Ramanuja Das, his Diksha Guru was the Acharya from Sri Rangam, but his Shiksha Guru was our Gurudev, Srila Gauravinda Swami. And this Bhadri Narayan Ramanuja Das, he was helping Gurudev with the Arya back to Godhead, the Bhagavad Darshan in 1980. Right? In 1980. He was helping Gurudev from then. Anyway, when we first got there, I missed this point, but there were some very heavyweight disciples of Gurudev there that were listening to Gurudev for decades. Right? We just arrived on the scene, beginning of 1989. You had Petit Pavan, right? You had Gokulananda. You had Kalakanta. You had Sachinandan. You had Chaitanya Chandra. You had Advaita Acharya, who's Bhakti Pran Gopinath Maharaj, and you had Atmaram. And they'd been there for a long time. And they'd heard Gurudev for a very long time. Right? And they knew what Gurudev, they knew Gurudev's Katha. We didn't know it. They were heavyweights. We weren't even lightweights. We were like insects, and they were like giant elephants when it came to Siddhanta. I remember speaking to Gokulananda and he would just quote, Gurudev said, you just keep quoting slokas. The Gurudev knew, because we were new men. We didn't know anything. We've got to understand the nourishment for the Gaudiyas is the Harikatha of the living sadhu. If you take the living sadhu out of the equation, the Siddhanta will collapse. A lot of people don't like me saying that. If you take the living sadhu out of the equation, then the Siddhanta will collapse. And if you study the Jaiva Dharma of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, chapters 15 and 16, you will see how important the living word of the living sadhu is. It's most important. That's why it said, therefore Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said, the only access I have to reality is that which I have heard and learnt sitting at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Right? Guru is there, you were there, sitting at the feet. And he also said the Mahant Guru will appear before you as the foremost living sadhu. So Gurudev used to say, you may not meet a Ma Bhagavat, you may not find an Uttama Adhikari Guru, and you may take a Kanishta or a Madhyam Guru. But according to Rupa Goswami, that Kanishta and Madhyam, they're still sadhikas. No offense, they're still sadhikas. So then he said, you can take, but you will have to find a Shiksha Guru that is an Uttama Bhakta. You will have to find that. Yeah. And that's the reality that a lot of people are having a lot of problems with. Now we're fraught with Ritvik, Prachan Ritvik, covered Ritvik. I'll initiate myself. I don't need a guru, etc., etc., etc. This has nothing to do with the Gaudiya line. Right? It has nothing to do with the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. You can quote anything you like, but it has nothing to do with the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, because we are following, in the words of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the Shrota Parampara of hearing. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, sure, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada writes that in the Satya Yuga, I can send you the quotes, in the Satya Yuga, people followed the Parampara system very carefully, very strictly. In the Treta Yuga, they followed the Parampara system very strictly. In the Dwapara Yuga, they followed the Parampara system very strictly. And in the Kali Yuga, they don't follow it very strictly at all. Right. So now, if there's time, I just want to go through a few things, a few points that are a little cloudy, but I want to try and present why we do them and how we do them. For instance, when we first published the first book, that's the first life story. Right? You may remember it, you may not. That was, when did we print it? It was 27 years ago. We printed this book. Just prior to printing it, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu rang me and he said, Gurudev should have a title. Should be a title. I said, okay. He said, it should be something like a Acharya Thakur, Srila Acharya Thakur. And I said, okay. So I checked with other godbrothers and they thought, yeah, that was a good idea. So we used it. We put here the life story of His Divine Grace, Srila Gauragovinda Swami Maharaj Acharya Thakur. But there was a higher order there, because when I spoke to Gurudev about how we should address him, etc., he said to me, you can use any honorific you like. It's up to you, anything. It's not Sri Sri Mad or not Srila, it's not this or it could be that. No. There was none of that. I could use whatever I want. And that's what so when Chaitanya Chandraprabhu said that, I said, yeah, it resonated with me, resonated with other godbrothers, so we used it. So, and Gurudev said I could use any honorific or not, any honorific I like, not just Sri Sri Mad. It had to be Sri Sri Mad, nothing else. He never said that to me. In 1989, he sent me a message. At the end of 1989, he sent me a message. He said, please write something against the Rithviks. I didn't do it till 2014. That's the book, Surrender Unto the Living Bhagavata. Can you see it? Surrender Unto the Living Bhagavata. It's a bit of a, yeah. Surrender Unto the Living Bhagavata. And there's not a fight with them. It's just presenting the living Guru. In 1990, Gurudev told me to write his biography, which we've attempted to do. In 1990, he told me to write another book, which I haven't even started, and I don't know when I'll do it. But in 1994, he told me, I was his secretary, and he said to me, he said, print everything I've ever said. And that's a pretty hard job. You know, we've only touched the tip of the iceberg of what Gurudev said. And we've been collecting info on Gurudev's life, information, on and off, more on and off, for 36 years. And Tattva Vichar publications have been going for 30 years. We've been publishing. And the whole point of Tattva Vichar publications is simply to connect the dots for the ISKCON members between Srila Gauragovinda Swami Maharaj and Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and their relationship. That's all. To connect the dots to see there is a special relationship there. Very special. And that's our whole point. So, yeah, Guru Maharaj told me certain things to do. We're trying to do that. We're trying to publish. The first book we did was that one. Then we did this one, Encountering, which, yeah, it was okay. And then we did this one, Gauragovinda Swami, who was he? Because I was sitting with some God brothers and God sisters in Vrindavan, and I said, people don't even know who Guru Maharaj is. I mean, temples now, there's whole temples of people don't know who he is. You can say I'm wrong, but I guarantee you I can take you to temples, they don't know who he is. Right? So we printed this, 5,000 copies. We gave it for free. It's pretty thick and it's full color. Ended up in Russia, ended up in China, ended up everywhere, but in England or Europe, wherever. But yeah, it had quite an impact. And then we started printing other books on Gurudev's glories, the Exalted Bhakti Bhagavata, and then Mayapur 1979, that most amazing event. That most amazing event. And I will say that Lagudi was in Mayapur for 5 years. And he said not one person asked him about that Mayapur 1979 event. Not one person. And he said the room that it took place in is now the cashier's office. Rather than keep it as a shrine, it's the cashier's where we count the money. So, and Lagudi Prabhu said one person came to him one day, one Westerner from Australia. His name was Harinamananda. And he interviewed Lagudi about this. And he video and audioed it and put it on YouTube, and a lot of people have seen it. And he said, "You're the only person that's ever interviewed me since I've been here in Mayapur for 5 years about this event." So that tells you how interested we are in Mayapur 1979. Right. So, and we've just, we did just try to learn the truth, which is all about Gurudeva's glories. Vrindavan 1975, how Prabhupada met Guru Maharaj, or Guru Maharaj met Prabhupada, and Guru Maharaj took sannyas. That one we printed 10,000 and gave them out for free. This one we printed 5,000 and gave them out for free. That one we printed, I don't know, thousands and gave them out for free. And then, of course, we did just try to learn the truth, Gurudeva's glories. And then this one, in the association of pure devotees, it proves you need to be in the association of pure devotees, but they must be in the living sadhu. And that's what Gurudev was preaching. He said, it's not that it happened differently 5,000 years ago and now it's different now. It's the same. Right? Must be the same. Then we did the Acharya, the Brahman, the Shilpi, which is the what the Acharya from Sri Rangam, his disciple, and the deity maker all said about Guru Maharaj. And then we did 108 transcendental splendors, 108 glories of Gurudev. Then we redid it and called it Amazing Grace. And just recently we've done, and you may have seen it, Bhubaneswar 1979, when Prabhupada came to Bhubaneswar. Prabhupada came to Bhubaneswar and spent 17 days. Plus we've done 4 volumes of the life story. You may have seen them as well. So plus many books of Gurudev's Harikatha, for instance, Sri Radha Volume 1. We've got a fabulous artist in England that does the covers, the paintings. Sri Radha Volume 2. And I think we're nearly out of time. We're working on Sri Guru 4, Vedic Dharma 3, Sri Radha 3, and the Life Story Volume 4 in 3 parts. And we're working on Gyan Vigyan. So that's a little bit about Tattva Vichar Publications, a little bit about Gurudev, and I think that's it, Prabhus. We good? Yes, no? We'll stop there.
Unmute Sri Guru Rudev Prabhu.
Sorry?
Sri Guru Rudev Prabhu, you are mute.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah?
You want to share a screen? You wanted me to share a screen? This photo?
Photo.
The book called... it's not... You sent me a book photo.
Yeah. And we also did a book that's not published. It's not printed. It's on the net. It's called The Search for the Self-Realized Soul, which is in the same vein as these two. It's part 3. Just try to learn the truth in the association of pure devotees. And that one you've got there, the cover, which is The Search for the Self-Realized Soul. You want to put that up now?
It's not coming through. I don't know what happened.
Can we do it?
No, it's not happening, bro.
Not
It's
happening?
okay. I'll share this. I'll share this in the group.
Okay, because we did, that was the 3rd one in that series, The Search for the Self-Realized Soul, which is what we're supposed to be doing, searching for a self-realized soul. That is our one. That's the goal for the conditioned soul. Okay, Dandavats everyone. Vanshikapatu Vishya, Kripsa Divya Vichar, Petitanam Pavela.
So Prabhuji, devotees can ask some question.
Okay, but I'm having a bit of trouble understanding the accent. So, yeah, okay, they can ask questions.
Try our best. Yes.
You have questions?
Anyone have any question? Yes, Prabhu. Please come forward.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Otherwise,
Prabhu, I couldn't meet you somehow in my life. So, generally you come to India what time, Prabhuji?
when do I come to India? Usually Kartik.
And where do you stay, Prabhuji, that time?
I stay in Vrindavan.
You go to Bhubaneswar sometime?
Not often, no. You see, we've got 2 warehouses in Vrindavan. I've got 2 boys looking after it, and I deal with 3 printers in Delhi, and that's where everything happens. So we work out of there. My poor Bhubaneswar, there's a lot of devotees distributing our books there, but we distribute in Vrindavan. Okay.
So I pray that sometime I meet you sometime. I want to take your blessings and meet you sometime in coming Kartik.
I'm planning a trip to Bhubaneswar, but every time I get sidetracked because I get stuck in Vrindavan. And it's just at Kartik time, there's a lot of people and we can distribute a lot of books. You know, a lot of
Prabhuji,
books.
where you were when Gurudev left? Where you were?
When Gurudev left, I was managing ISKCON Adelaide.
Australia?
Australia, yeah, it was a disaster. The whole temple fell apart. It was terrible.
Any last instruction Srila Gurudev gave you? What was the last time you met Srila Gurudev?
End of 95.
It was in India or Australia again?
India. Oh, hang on. No, it was Australia because he came to Adelaide. It was October, November. That's when I last saw him. October, November.
That was Gurudev's last visit in Australia also.
Yeah, 1995, October, November.
Gurudev gave any personal instructions to you last time? Last moment.
Say that again?
In your last visit or last interaction, did Srila Gurudev give you any personal instructions?
Any instructions?
Personal instructions. Personal instructions.
Not really, but he said one thing. He said, I'm looking for that one person that can carry on my mission. I'm looking for that one person. And as yet, I've not found him.
Oh.
And there were others that heard that as well, not just me. So he said, and yeah, and there was an article about it in the newspaper. And my sister rang me and she said, it sounds like Guru Maharaj wants to leave the planet. I said, I don't know. But that's what he said. I'm looking for that one person. But he didn't really give me any instructions about. His instructions were manage Adelaide Temple. If it doesn't work out, come back and be my secretary again or whatever, you know, like that. But Gurudev left the planet. So there was no real secretary position, you know.
Okay. See, Prabhu, few of us, we had some only connection with Gurudev through books and his audio tapes. We had connection with Gurudev through audio tapes, video tapes, and through books.
Right, yeah, great.
So after Gurudev disappeared, did you, I'm to say it is very personal, you may opt not to answer this question. Did any personal realization came to you after Gurudev disappearance, after whether he instructed after coming in dreams or something like that?
Did anyone come to me?
Did Gurudev came to you in the dreams afterward and gave you something?
Yeah, he did. But I'm not going to say what he said.
That's obviously your choice, bro. We are not qualified to listen.
I had a lot of dreams of Gurudev where Gurudev was at a festival and I got there, paid dandavats, touched his feet like that. But he but there was somewhere he gave me instructions, and I won't say what he said.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. I think I have many other things to ask, but I will give chance to other devotee, Tarush Prabhu. Let him ask the question. And if again later, if we get some time, I'll ask more questions. Yes, Tarush Kesharwani Prabhu, you can ask the question. And if possible, you show your videos.
Say that again.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I'm really sorry. I cannot open my camera right now. Prabhuji, my question was this: how can we see this that we have some blessings of Srila Gurudev, our Param Gurudev, on us?
I'm not catching what you're saying, Prabhuji.
I will rephrase his question.
Yeah.
He's how do we get the indication that we have blessings of Srila Gurudev?
How do we get the indications we have the blessings of Gurudev? Is that what you said?
Yes. Yes.
Gurudev used to say, those persons that think they're getting mercy and say, I'm getting mercy, said they're getting nothing, right? Gurudev said, those persons that think they're very lowly, they will get the mercy of the Guru. So other than that, I don't really have an answer for you, you know. But if Gurudev said two things. He said the only reality in dreams, he said dreams are rubbish, but the only reality is if the Lord appears to you or the Guru appears to you. So if Gurudev appears to you in a dream and gives you an instruction or appears to you just like that and gives you an instruction, then that's mercy. But as far as that, I cannot say anything. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
No
Dandavat
problem.
Pranam.
Okay, we're good. Dandavats.
Prabhuji, when can we keep the part 2 of this session?
Sorry?
When can we keep the part 2 of this session?
Part 2 of this session.
We want to hear more from you, Prabhu.
Well, it's up to the organizers to organize that.
Okay. I think there is one devotee, Srikant Prabhu. He has a question.
I've just gone over a few minor points. I haven't gone too deeply into anything. I mean, there's the Qatar that Gurudev spoke. When we were there in 1989, beginning of 89, I mean, he spoke so many things that we didn't know. You know, in fact, in reality, my spiritual life began when I landed in Bhubaneswar. Even though I joined ISKCON in 1980, my spiritual life began in 1989 because someone was preaching to me, and he was preaching solid Siddhanta every day, and he was very worried about my welfare, our welfare. He wasn't worried about how much money we could bring or anything. He was worried about our personal spiritual development. And that's a big thing. Because in this day and age, people want, they want you to pay that, they want pranama, pranami. They want you to bow down to them and they want money. Guru Bhava Santi Sisha Vita Paharika, Dulavasan Guru Devi Sisha Santa Paharika. Many gurus in this world, Lord Shiva speaking to Parvati, and they amass many disciples, and they use these disciples to amass great wealth and enjoy this world. But a guru that can deliver his disciples from the cycle of birth and death, Dulava Sadguru Devi, is very rare. So yeah, it was very rare. But what he touched on, he spoke on topics that just went straight over my head. He spoke on 4 very amazing lectures on Radharani, designed to understand the glories of Radharani's love, the green and the yellow mango, who can give me pleasure, the enchantress of Govinda. And these were all in April 1989. We just come out of Australia. We didn't know anything. When we got back to Australia, people thought we'd gone mad. They thought these Dina Bandhu, Nimai, Pandit, Jagapati, they gone mad. They need counselling. And then those same devotees went to Bhubaneswar and took initiation, and then they said to me, we've gone mad too. You see, it was like Guru Maharaj was on this giant landmass of reality, and we are on this island of Maya, and he was trying to pull us over to that giant landmass of reality. And the way the sadhu pulls you in is with Harikatha. And that was the reality. And he was pulling us, trying to pull us in. Pull. And he said a lot of things to me. He said some things I can't repeat. He said things to me I just cannot repeat. I'll never repeat them. They were that heavy. But, yeah. And, yeah. But yeah, what he spoke was amazing. And it was, a lot of it was general, but, you know, Sampradaya Rakshana, Siddhanta Rakshana, the two occupations of the Acharya, protector of the Siddhanta and protector of the Sampradaya. Well, you know, who's doing that? Where are you doing that? To do that, you have to be, you know, minimum Shastra Nipuna. You have to be scriptural genius. You have to be, you know, give up sense gratification, fully conversant in the Siddhanta, and you have to be fully conversant with the absolute reality of Sri Krishna. Well, when Guru Maharaj spoke, that's axiomatic. He was that person. No offense. You can take your Ritvik and your Prakshan Ritvik and your, I don't need initiation or I'll initiate myself. You can put it in the bin. As far as I'm concerned. You know? If you've not met the real deal, then you might go to these things. But if you've met the real deal, then you won't go to these things. And Gurudev said many things. He wrote 2 letters to 2 godbrothers about Shiksha, and it's very deep. And we're trying to print them, but there's so much stuff to print. We just those 2 letters are lost in a computer somewhere that we have to find. But it's very deep. What he said was very amazing. You know, very amazing. And he said, Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru, whoever is more prominent in your heart is up to you, not up to anyone else, he said. For me, it's Guru Maharaj, my Diksha Guru, but someone else might be a Shiksha Guru. Gurudev said, whoever's more prominent in your heart. He spoke on the 4 anatas. He didn't know what the 4 anatas were. We didn't know what the 4 anatas were. And they're in the Bhajam Rahasya of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but we didn't know. And then there's 4 subcategories of each anatta. And Guru Maharaj was hammering us with all this, you know. But that's what the Guru does. 3rd chapter, Harinam Chintamani. What does it do? Guru explains Sambandha Bidaya Parojana to the disciples. Isn't it? That's going on.
Yes.
Must be Sambandha Abhidaya Parojana. And what did Gurudev said? Veda Treat Tattva Koi. There's 3 transcendental truths. If you can understand them, you'll be eternally happy. And the Sat Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami, the Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Krishna Paramatma Sandarbha, Krishna Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha, and Priti Sandarbha, they are Sambandha Abhidaya Parojana. That's what they deal with. The Vedanta Sutra Vyasadeva deal with Sambandha Abhidaya Parojana. The Gayatri Mantra deals with Sambandha Abhidaya Parojana. Mahaprabhu said, after Eva Bhagavata, 18 Akoi, Sambandha Abhidaya Parojana Moi. Bhagavatam is the best of books because throughout, beginning, middle, and end, it deals with Sambandha Abhidaya Parojana. That's what the Guru teaches. He doesn't teach, bring me money, you know, whatever. He teaches Siddhanta. His Harikatha is continually flowing from his mouth. And that's what we're hanging on to. Otherwise, what are we going to hang on to? And we don't know what's in someone's heart. They could look like a gross materialist and be a great devotee, and they could look like a great devotee and be a gross materialist. We don't know. But if you're tree colored Yah, you know their past, present, and future, then you'll know who's real and who's not. Because I remember they said one name of one devotee. My God, they said, oh, this devotee does a lot of service, he does this, he does that, but he's got this person as a guru who we don't really accept. And Gurudev said, Krishna knows the heart, Baba. Krishna knows the heart. In other words, it's all, it's all written. He knew this person is, he may be running around doing so much, but Seva Sadhaka Rupana Siddha Rupana Chatra, it's running around with his arms and legs and head, but mentally, what is he absorbed in? Must be absorbed in the words of Sadhu Guru Vaishnava. So if you want the real deal, if you want that real sadhu, Guru Maharaj said, you have to be very serious, you have to surrender, and you have to pray in the heart. Krishna's in the heart. Please send sadhu. And Gurudev said, one day there'll be a knock at the door, and that sadhu will be there. You'll open the door, and there'll be the sadhu. So?
And this may take few lifetimes?
Well, it'll take a few lifetimes. Well, yeah, why not? I mean, Siddhanta Sajjana until we get out of Anatta Nivritti, we can stay there, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada says, for hundreds of lifetimes. So we have to get past Anatta Nivritti, you have to get to Nishta. Nishta means steady. There's steadiness. Anatta Nivritti is rough ocean. The boat lands on solid ground, Nishta. And then from there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, pure devotion begins at Ruchi and the Shakti. But it's still sadhika, but then when Bhav comes, that is a Raya Prema Rupa Goswami says. And one sees one's eternal form in the eternal form of the Lord. So it can take many lifetimes. And Gurudev said, with Bharat Maharaj, it took 3 lifetimes, he said, very quick. This is just Leela for us. That's just Leela for us. There's so many things. In fact, if you were to write down everything Gurudev said, you'd never stop writing. There's so much. And then he was speaking from Ujjvala Nilamani, Lalita Madhava, and Vidagdha Madhava. Well, no one was speaking from them. And then Priti Ashraya, Priti Vishaya, Priti Dhamma, right? Priti Ashraya, excuse me, the abode of love, Priti Vishaya, object of love, which is Krishna, and Priti Dhamma, the mood and the process of Mahaprabhu, love and affection for one and all. But that, because everyone's got this love and affection for one and all, everyone's hugging everyone, but that's material. You won't get that love and affection for one and all until you have love and affection for Sri Krishna. And that is the process that Mahaprabhu has come to present. So that Priti Dhamma has to be installed first, and that could take, 10, 20, 50, 100 lifetimes. You may not get it in one lifetime. No. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that in the Gita Mala. He says that, when one living entity gets back to that Goloka region, it's very glorious, it's very amazing, it's very wonderful, but it's very, very rare. But we have begun the process, so we are on that conveyor belt. And according to how we act and function and follow, we make advancement or we go backwards. Up to us. And if, as I said, if you read chapter 15, 16, Jaiva Dharma, you'll see why the living word of the living sadhu is so important. Because that living word of the living sadhu wards off Maya. Otherwise, we're under the sway of Maya. And that we all know. Yeah, so, okay, I'm getting a sore throat. I've got to stop. So we'll meet again, yeah? Thank everyone. I'm going to sign off.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu, sorry, Prabhu. There is one devotee, Srikant. Please answer his question, Prabhu. He's been waiting for a long time. There is one Srikant. He's raising his hand. If you can answer his question, it will be nice.
Sorry, I didn't say that again.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam. I'm Shrikant. We were talking about Hindi books. So I just wanted to appreciate 2 things about Trinadapi Sunichena and Shuddhanam Bhajan. That's my personal experience about Tattva Vichar publications is that I found these two books like a masterpiece. There is no single book on this verse Trinadapi Sunichena. In Yeah, there is
Yeah.
no single book
Good book.
in whole ISKCON, even other places, which deals with this verse so deeply. In fact,
Yeah.
before reading this verse, na, what exactly is humility? What exactly is giving respect to others? You have explained.
That one. That one. That
Yes,
book.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the same one, Proji. So you gave example of Raghunandan Acharya and son saying that explaining pridelessness and everything. That book is like masterpiece on this verse. I just wanted to appreciate that book and appreciate your efforts for that, and even Shuddhanam Bhajan and even for Shuddhanam Bhajan and even for Shuddhanam Bhajan, I wanted to express gratefulness. That's all, Proji, about these two books. Thank you very much. There is no match for these two books.
Vicky, it's all Gurudev's words and glories. All we do is package it up and deliver it. It's all Gurudev. He did all the work. We just packaged it up and hand it over.
But the Proji packaging is too good.
But it's all Gurudev's words. Everything. Every single disciple of Guru Maharaj that's preaching is just preaching his words. You know that?
Yes.
And it's the Guru that opens all the doors to the Siddhanta, hundreds of thousands of doors to the Siddhanta. And that's how we learn. That's how we learn. Gurudev opened all these doors. There's all the disciples of Guru Maharaj. They're repeating what Gurudev said. That's all we're doing. Well, that's I'm trying to. They're doing it. I'm trying to do it. But yeah. So yeah, these books. Siddham Bhajan is a brilliant book. Tinana Pisanichana is a very brilliant book. It takes you from the very beginning to the very end. It's brilliant. These should be textbooks in every temple in ISKCON.
Yes, Proji, certainly. These two especially. At least I personally have distributed a lot of copies of Trinadapi Sunichana and Shuddhanam Bhajan to temples and devotees because I personally feel a lot of inspiration from these books. I'm trying, you bless me that I distribute more of these two books. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Last question, this there in chat. If you can read it and answer, then the devotee will be very much inspired.
Okay. What's happening? Another question or?
It's in chat.
If you click on chat.
Click on chat.
Prabhuji, you can read it.
Okay, I will read it for Prabhuji if you want to. The question is by Sriniketan Das. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble question. As disciples,
like I said. But how can we understand whether Gurudev is pleased with our service or not? Well, number one, Guru Maharaj said, don't try and gauge whether you're making advancement or not. Don't do that. He said that's not what we do. All we're trying to do is follow sincerely, as best we can, the instructions of Guru. However, if the Guru leaves and you are not Satsisha, right? Everyone understands Satsisha? Sadguru means topmost spiritual master, most perfect spiritual master. Satsisha means that very rare disciple. Right? So if you're not on that level, then you may have to take a Shiksha Guru. And that Shiksha Guru will take you to the final limit. Everyone understand that? Because you can't do it by yourself. You can try, you can give it a go. It's not going to work. I've seen it hundreds of times. It's not going to work. Unless you're Jad Bharat or Dattatreya or, someone like that. But if you're not a super empowered personality, it's not going to work. Even the Ramanujacharya had 5 Shiksha Gurus if my memory serves me correctly, they're all Bhagavats. Madhvacharya's Shiksha Guru was Vyasadeva. In fact, in the Narada Pancharatra, it says that Narada Muni's guru is Lord Shiva, his Diksha Guru, and his Shiksha Guru is Narayana Rishi. Sutta Goswami, his Diksha Guru is Vyasadeva, his Shiksha Guru is Sukadeva Goswami. If my memory serves me correctly. Bhaktivinoda Thakur took Shiksha from Jagannath Das Babiji, and Gaurkishore Das Babiji took Shiksha from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So if the Diksha Guru leaves and you have not gone to that final destination, then you may need a Shiksha Guru. And we have to understand what a Shiksha Guru is. The general understanding of Shiksha Guru is from the Sanskrit root verb shikshati, isn't it? That means to instruct. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur has taken it one step further, and he says, even for one initiated in a bona fide sampradaya by a bona fide guru with a bona fide mantra, if he has not heard the preaching of a Shiksha Guru, then his internal form may not manifest. In other words, he says that by the preaching of the Shiksha Guru, one's subtle body dissolves and one's spiritual body starts to manifest. That's Shiksha Guru. So if the Diksha Guru leaves, you may need Shiksha, you may need assistance, you may need someone you can go and speak to. And that's not anybody, that's a very rare personality. And one thing we mix up is Vatman Pradashaka Guru and Padapradashaka Guru, they people that first show the way, right? Or they give instruction, they give some information. But that's different to a Shiksha Guru. That's very different. Shiksha Guru means he can take you to the final destination. Means he must be on that topmost level. Otherwise, it's just like me or you speaking. So dark period comes, then you may need Shiksha Guru. And this idea that no one will ever come, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was against that idea. And in chapter 7 of Jaiva Dharma, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says someone always comes. Powerful sadhu, powerful Vaishnava always comes. So it's not enough if the Diksha Guru leaves, we need Shiksha, you may need Shiksha. Madhvacharya had a Shiksha Guru. Narada Muni had a Diksha Guru and a Shiksha Guru. So, okay?
Hare Krishna.
Is that okay?
Prabhu, can the Shiksha Guru be someone whom you are inspired but not seen?
Say that again.
Can the Shiksha Guru be someone whom you have not personally listened from, personally heard, but you are inspired by? Like many of us have not seen Gurudev. Can Gurudev be our Shiksha Guru like that?
Well, Gurudev said, Guru must be living Guru. So I'll leave that up to you. And the example Prabhupada gives, and I've put it in this book many times, he said the example is Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Pariksit. Maharaj Pariksit was a great devotee. Sukadeva Goswami was self-realized soul. Still, Maharaj Pariksit took instructions from a self-realized soul, Sukadeva Goswami, whom he'd never met until that day. He never met. He didn't know who Sukadeva Goswami was. 16-year-old boy, blue, naked, matted locks, and spoke the whole Bhagavatam in 7 days. And Prabhupada says that's our example. You see, there's such a thing as Shastriya Sadhu Sangha. You can take, if you can't meet that sadhu, that living sadhu, that great personality, etc., 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 then you can study the books. But above that is the living sadhu. In the words of my Guru Maharaj, if you've got a question, who are you going to ask? You know, there's a book, ask the question, but you may not get the answer. Any book. But the Shiksha Guru, if he's really Shiksha Guru and he really knows your past, present, future, he really knows you better than you know yourself, then he'll give you the answer. And it's immediate. That's why the living word of the living sadhu rolling off his tongue manifests that potency that can cleanse the heart. So if you're going to say, I read the books of Rupa Goswami, well, that's Shastriya Sadhu Sangha. And Sanatana Goswami, Shastriya Sadhu Sangha. Raghunath Das Goswami, Shastriya Sadhu Sangha. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Shastriya Sadhu Sangha. But if you have a question and you have to ask someone, who are you going to ask? If you ask a conditioned soul, you may get the wrong answer. So you need a Shiksha Guru who's on that topmost level and sit at his feet. And therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada says, the only access I have to reality is that which I have learned while I've heard sitting at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Guru's there, disciples there, bas. Guru's there, disciples there. Mahant Guru appears before his foremost living sadhu.
But we have
if it's just me in the book, right? Me in the Shastra, right? Beta Bada Bada Gyana Sabha Manadama E Bala Manda E Sabha Brahma, I might get it wrong. And I might end up, as Guru Maharaj said, following the religion of the mind. And you look at Facebook, everyone's fighting about all these points that they have no idea about. They have no idea, and they're fighting each other. And one fellow, I've written 3 books, I know, blah, blah, blah. And you got 2 Brahmins cursing each other. And this is all on Facebook. What for? So we take the humble position. Mahaprabhu set the example. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said, he set the example for all time, place, circumstance. Adi Khan, chapter 17, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata. Mahaprabhu went and paid dandavats to Sri Ishvara Puri and took initiation and circumambulated him. What service can I do? What can I do? And Mahaprabhu's Supreme Personality got in. He just set the example. So yeah, I'm a proponent of the living Diksha and living Shiksha. No offense. But the greatest person I've ever met, ever, is my Guru Maharaj. And he was, I just don't have the words to explain how amazing he was. We're going to have to stop for it's 10 o'clock. So it's, what time is it for you?
It's 4:35.
Okay, so we finished.
Yes.
Dandavats.
Soon we will arrange another meeting, Prabhu.
Yeah, no
I will
problem.
get in touch with you. We will
Okay.
arrange.
So grateful to you, Prabhuji. I personally had interaction with you first time, and that is online. So grateful to you, I said.
You had who with what?
I am meeting you first time online.
Oh, yeah, I'm meeting you first time online too.
So grateful to you. So grateful to you, Prabhu.
Likewise, I'm sure.
It's our proud privilege to associate with humble servant of Srila Gurudev, who have not only associated with Gurudev, but associated with the mood of Srila Gurudev.
As I said, Gurudev did all the work. All we do is package it up and deliver it. Bus. Okay?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you for your humble stature.
Haribala.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.